So Martyn, you've got some questions and answers. Could you just run through them, please?
Sure, yeah. So on the website, on the new website, I've included the top 20 most commonly asked questions, that clients pose, and the answers to those. And I thought it would be also good to include a short video clip of the wider questions perhaps that affect people looking to, they should be thinking about when they're looking to enter this market for the first time.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you a few questions at this stage.
Sure.
What are the fees and when are the fees payable?
So the fees, that's a really good question. There are normally two main fees payable. One is a legal fee for the solicitors that are required. That's normally around the kind of £900 to £930 pound mark. And there's also an advice fee that I charge for the advice process, which is currently £1,495. Both fees are payable on completion, so they're normally either taken from the advance amount or clients can choose to pay them at the end. So no money is taken up front as part of the transaction. Lenders may charge for things like an administration fee, an arrangement fee or a valuation fee, but in today's market that is highly unusual if they did that.
Thank you. How long does it take?
The whole process takes on average about 8 weeks from application to completion, which is when the funds are released. Obviously it depends on how quickly we can get the information to the lender, the supporting paperwork, and on occasion sometimes when we do a case for a client where there's a lasting power of attorney, they can take considerably longer. Often it's double the 8-week period because of the sheer number of additional checks and balances that are in place at the lenders and the solicitors.
Thank you. What is the minimum and maximum age?
So the minimum age for a lifetime mortgage is 55. There's no real maximum. With some of the lenders, they're quite happy to lend provided the client has mental capacity. So realistically, 55 at the youngest, and there is no maximum.
Thank you. How much can I borrow?
Really depends on so many different factors. Firstly, how much do you need to borrow? You should go into this having done a reasonable kind of calculation around how much you want to borrow and for what reason. The calculation is based on your age or ages in the case of a joint application, your health and lifestyle, because that can affect the amount you borrow, and also the amount that you wish to borrow in relation to the overall property value. It will be a percentage of the overall value.
Thank you. Do I keep ownership of my house?
Absolutely, yes. So the ownership of the property remains as yours, as does any growth in the value of the property over time. All the lender does is takes a first legal mortgage over the property for the amount borrowed plus any interest that is not paid. So they, at no stage do they acquire any interest in the property. So if your property increases in value, it all passes to you.
Thank you. Should I discuss things with my family?
It's a strong recommendation that we make. It's always good to talk to family about these things. Often they come up with questions that you hadn't considered, and part of our process is to recommend really that you do have a conversation with members of the family, and indeed they can be present at any meetings that we have.
Thank you. Which is the best lender?
Again, this depends on the circumstances, and these lenders are extremely competitive in their offerings. So the best lender will depend on the individual circumstances, and at that particular time a lender will appear as the best for you. It's not just to fit the circumstances that you have now, but potentially how it could work for you in the future. So that question really is where I come in to work out what's the best lender and what's the best product to meet your needs.
Thank you. Will I be allowed to move home?
You can certainly move home whilst you have one of these products. They are portable. There are some conditions around it, as there are with a conventional mortgage, in that the new property that you're buying and wanting to move the mortgage to obviously has to meet the property criteria of the lender that you are with. So that is a question that I'll be able to help you with. If during the course of that mortgage you decide you want or need to move, then we can get that agreement in principle from the lender before you commit to moving.
Thank you. Can I repay the debt in my lifetime?
You are able to do that at any time. There are penalties, however, if you pay them off in the kind of early years. It really depends on when you plan to pay it off, either through a lump sum inheritance or a maturity of an investment. But that can be factored in to this process, and the right product, which I alluded to earlier, can be matched to what you're looking to do. There are some products that have no penalties at all, and you're free to pay them off whenever you want without penalty. I'll add that you can make payments of up to 10% a year, often more than that, with some lenders during any 12-month period. So you are able to pay more than the interest if you wish to, and therefore pay off the loan early.
Thank you. Can I ensure that an inheritance is left to my children?
Quite a lot of the lenders and products now have a feature called inheritance protection, which is something you can choose to build in right from the start. It effectively means that when the property is sold, if the debt has risen, an amount will be available to them, a pre-agreed amount that you can specify from day one. If that is something that you wish to do, then that needs to be discussed. It would be discussed as part of a normal interview process in any event. So it's just to explain that that feature is available if it's desired.
Thank you. If I do not pay the interest, do I lose my home?
Not at all. So the one thing about lifetime mortgages is that there are no repayments required. So if there are no repayments, you can't lose your home if you don't make them. These payments that you can make are optional. So if you decide you wish to make payments, you can stop, you can start again. There are no requirements for a contracted monthly payment. All that happens if you don't make payments is the interest is added to the debt, and then is cleared when the property is eventually sold, either on passing or moving into long-term care.
Thank you. Will I need a solicitor?
Certainly, it's a legal process. A mortgage has to be created, a first legal mortgage over the property. So what happens is that as part of the process, you will be introduced to a specialist solicitor who is able to act independently for you as a client. They are there to make sure you understand the process, you are not under any form of duress, and obviously that the clients have capacity to make decisions. So they visit you in your home. These are not high street solicitors. You are able to use your own solicitor if they're able to handle equity release transactions, but normally we would introduce you to a specialist. And again, those fees of £900 to £935 are based on the standard process for a standard transaction with one of those equity release specialists.
Thank you. Can my son, daughter, friend attend any meetings?
Certainly they can. If you feel that you would want them to be present, that's perfectly acceptable. As I alluded to earlier, often family, friends, close friends do ask questions sometimes that add to this process for you. It's all about getting the right outcome, and often that only happens when the right questions are kind of posed by the clients and their families. So absolutely welcome, yeah.
Thank you. Does my health and lifestyle affect things at all?
With some of the lenders, yes, in that they are able to offer a slightly higher loan amount or a reduced rate in some cases where people have had certain health conditions. These would be health conditions that potentially have the effect of shortening lifespan. Some lifestyle conditions such as smoking and height-weight ratios, for example, can also be factored in by some of the lenders, but it would be part of the process to get full medical information about the client, because clearly it may impact you to be able to get a better outcome. So those questions will certainly be asked as part of the fact find, as it's called.
Thank you. What is drawdown and how does it work in my favour?
It's a great question. More and more clients are looking at drawdowns now. So this is something that lenders have recognised, that clients may know that they need an amount initially, now, but they may also have a need or a desire for some funds in future, and they don't wish to borrow that money right now. They don't want to pay the interest on that money right now, so they ask for and often get agreed for what's called a reserve or a drawdown facility. It's a facility where you can have your main advance at the rate today, and then as and when you need that money that's been pre-agreed, you can draw it down without any need for further advice or fees. It would be based on the rates at the time, and that would be a discussion that I would be having with you as an existing client when that time comes.
Thank you. I've placed my home in trust for my children. Can I still borrow funds?
Sadly, no. As soon as the property is put into trust in your lifetime, you no longer own it. The trust does. So lenders will not be able to create a mortgage over that property. So in those scenarios, the trust would need to be unwound, as it's called, before a lender can consider advancing any money against the security of that property.
Thank you. I have spray foam insulation installed on my loft. Is this a problem?
It is a problem for lenders, certainly in the equity release market, and I hear the conventional market as well. It can cause a problem because the spray foam can seal in moisture around the timbers in the loft space, and that's what lenders don't like, because clearly it could be storing up a problem for the future. So often clients have to arrange for the spray foam to be removed and a guarantee issued to say that there's been no negative impact on the structural resilience of the roof space. There are some companies out there, if people have had spray foam installed, there are companies out there that can talk to you about trying to claim the money back for your installation and also the removal costs on an insurance basis. So again, if that's a factor that you've recognised, just talk to your advisor or talk to me preferably, and we'll talk you through that process.
Thank you. Are all types of property acceptable to all of the lenders?
No. So there's around 10 lenders in this market for lifetime mortgages at the moment. and they all have different property criteria. But the nature of construction of a property is key because the lender is aiming to get its money back when the property is eventually sold. So if there are properties that aren't built conventionally, they may decide it's not for them to lend on it in the first place. So we're talking about certain forms of timber frame, steel frame construction, concrete. It's not impossible to do it, but it is a discussion I would need to have with that lender prior to you putting pen to paper. It certainly helps speed up the process to get you the decision.
Thank you. What are the interest rates and how are they calculated?
So interest rates for lifetime mortgages are not linked to Bank of England base rate, which is what conventional mortgages are linked to. So a lifetime mortgage is literally a mortgage potentially for that period of time, and it's an unknown period of time. It could be many, many, many years. So what lifetime lenders do is they link the rates to what are called gilts or swap rates, which is really the rate applicable to government borrowing rates, and they have increased quite a bit at the moment. So the rates are fixed, but you would need to realistically provide all the information so we can get you the right quote before you decide whether to proceed or not.
Thank you. What is the most common mistake clients make?
I think the most common mistake that I see is that they haven't fully researched how much money they are going to or wish to borrow and when. Because clearly it can be advantageous to borrow an amount now and so much in future. So we would always encourage people to realistically find out what these things, if it's a cruise, there'll be a price for that, or if it's building work, make sure that you've allowed for some form of contingency, make sure you've allowed for VAT, make sure you've allowed for removal costs. It's just to enable the transaction to be for the right amount. And that's what I would really say. People just need to think about, let's get the amount right and work from there.
Thank you. What if equity release is not right for me, us?
Well, there are occasions that may be the case. So part of the fact find is to go through a series of potential alternatives to borrowing money on equity release or lifetime mortgages, and some of those alternatives may be better for individual clients. If there is a better alternative, we'll explain that and obviously offer help if that's something we can introduce you to, maybe another person who does that particular facility for you. It doesn't suit everyone, but obviously in a lot of cases it is suitable, but where it's not, we don't just leave you, we will provide you, introduce you to the right professional.
Thank you, that was very informative, and thanks for answering some very comprehensive questions.